You're still here. Elisavet, hun har bodd i Norge nå i 2 år, og her i Horten altså i 2 år, og funnet seg en norsk mann. Så det Elisavet kommer til å snakke om, det er at hun er opprinnelig gresk, født i Aten, bodd i mange land. Det vil vi få høre litt om. Og vi vil først og fremst få høre om hvordan det er. We will show a video for you first. And then you have a good introduction of Elisavet. So don't you agree?
Thank you so much.
We do this. So please welcome her because this is the first time on stage. So good luck.
From the creator of the top parenting blogger Horten, and one of the most famous street artists in Greece, Platon, comes a book that will give our children a simple, universal answer to the burning question. The first ever children's picture book, illustrated entirely with street art.
Hi, I'm Elisavet. I'm an entrepreneur, a writer, and a mother. I have lived in 6 countries, my kids have different nationalities, and are of mixed cultural backgrounds. These are my children. The eldest, Eric, is 4.5 years old. He has been living in between 4 countries, he speaks 3 languages, and understands 4. Yet, he cannot identify 100% with any single country he has lived in. According to the 2015 United Nations Population Fund, Eric is just one of the 244 million children reported to be living outside their country of origin. Where am I from is a question Eric has asked me several times. As a writer, I could not think of a better way to answer than creating a simple and universal bedtime story addressing the issues of identity and belonging that perplex multicultural child.
The book will be published by Horten Publishing, an indie publishing house with a number of award-winning titles under its belt. Joanne Mikalev, the owner and director of Horten, is a mother of multicultural children herself. Where Am I From will be dedicated to all multicultural kids, multiracial kids, third culture kids, any child who is at loss when posed the question, and any parent struggling to find an appropriate answer.
I started working on Where Am I From about 1 year ago. Since that time, I have met some incredibly inspiring people, making me feel part of a vibrant and global parenting community. Today, I want you to be part of this community and part of this project. Support our campaign and help us bring this book to life.
Pre-order the book now to help us create the first 1,000 copies. Read it to your daughter, your son.
Hi everyone. Thank you for welcoming me to your country. As you saw in the video, I have lived in different places. I grew up in Greece and I have also lived in Malta, France, Spain, Thailand and now Norway. I met my husband Roy, who grew up here in Horten about 12 years ago, and he is also multilingual. And now we have 2 beautiful children together. During this speech, I would like us to go through 3 points. I will start with our journey raising multilingual children since birth. We'll continue with my book, Where Am I From, and its backstory. And I will conclude with how stories can help multicultural children form a strong sense of identity. And our family is an example of this. My kids were born in different countries, one in Malta and one in... Talk about our journey with the languages with our 5-year-old. Eric speaks Norwegian, Greek and English. He understands Swedish and he's been exposed to Thailand, so he speaks just a little bit of Thai. I'm very happy that he has made it that far, and it's truly amazing. But it hasn't always been easy, and I need to share with you that we had difficulties, and at one point he was struggling with most languages except from Norwegian. Because you see, multiple languages acquisition, it's not linear, it's not like a learn some vocabulary sentence. Because within 4 months in Norway, we moved when he was 2.5, and within 4 months he dropped English completely. He didn't respond anymore. So at that point, we didn't even know if he still understood us anymore. And by 6 months, his fluency in Norwegian was the same like for the rest of the Norwegian kids. You couldn't have told that he was born in another country. The real problem started though when he started kindergarten and Nelly was born. Because then I spent far less time with him, so his exposure to the minority language, which was Greek, also went backwards. So he dropped English, he regressed in Greek, and had a major communication problem. I couldn't speak properly with my own son. So we had to do something. English seemed to be lost, and we had to save Greek. So we took him to Greece for 2 trips, one and a month and a half, and one respectively, to have him fully immersed again in the community and be with me all the time. And we also had family members visiting over, and that helped to save the language. Since then, he hasn't had any problems with Greek, except from his accent changed. It's a bit Norwegian when he speaks Greek, so it's quite surprising. When he was a bit over 4, he would be exposed again to the English language much more, because we took him to Thailand for 4 months that time, and this is where he actually surprised us. As I told you, we didn't know anymore how much English he understood. And then within 1 week, he started speaking English, because he understood with the Thai people there and the other guests. That was the only common language he understood. And within a month, he was using it again on a daily basis. So yeah, this proves that the languages stay in the brain. Just you need to take them to the environment so that they can pick it up again. Because yeah, this experience proves that the languages become a little bit rusty because they're not used often, but they don't disappear. So if you make the kids need to use a language, they will. Not forcing them, but they want to communicate. This is what kids want to do. They want to talk to everybody. So this is how it works with the languages. And yeah, he also attended a Swedish preschool over there. And as you know, Swedish and Norwegian are very, very similar. So it didn't take him long to understand that asking for a glass to the teacher would give him a no. Or that trying to talk about his favorite cheese flavor to the other kids would not be perceived with excitement. So by the end of our stay at that time in Thailand, he was able to translate the words from Norwegian to Swedish to make sure he was understood to his classmates, and he picked up a little bit of Thai. So yeah, I'm sure there's much more to come. He's only 5, but this has been our experience so far. Now we'll continue with my children's picture book, Where Am I From? You saw the video. And let me start by saying that we run a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign to raise the funds that we need to produce it, and we raised about 102,000 krona. What Kickstarter is, it's a crowdfunding platform that helps all sorts of creative people like filmmakers, songwriters, designers, writers to get access to resources and support they need to bring their ideas to life. We got lots of support in the form of pre-orders from individuals and also from 3 public institutions in Norway and Malta. And I'm very proud to say that when our book is going to be published next year, it will be available in the local libraries here in Vestfold, thanks to OSE, and in the local libraries of Malta and all their public school libraries. How will this book differ from other children's picture books? Firstly, from a creative standpoint, graffiti has not been used as a medium to illustrate entirely a children's picture book, at least not in English. We're the very first ones, to our knowledge, to do it. Street art. Why street art? Street art is a tool for asking the difficult questions and raising concerns on matters that are crucial for the society, which is in part with this story. Because Where Am I From brings home the concept that we are more alike than we are different. Thus, what better way than a children's picture book with a universal theme and positive message illustrated with graffiti to introduce these concepts to our young ones. Secondly, the subject matter is somewhat untouched. While I was doing my research, I couldn't find any children's picture books addressing the issue of where are we from in any other way other than the biological or religious sense, as opposed to philosophical sense. And it is during the first years of life that the very essence of our identity is formed. Thus, it's important to focus on the similarities rather than differences from very early on. At the same time, it is important to embrace and celebrate diversity and ethnic and cultural diversity, and not be colorblind. Thirdly, the way the artist and I want to create this book, the collaborative process from start to finish, is a little bit different. Normally, an author doesn't have any creative control over the manuscript, I wished for this book to be illustrated with graffiti and with the artist I wanted to work with. So I'm a digital marketer, so what I did was I created a plan, which I presented to the publisher, and I said this way you can validate the concept and raise the funds we need in advance. So if we make it, we made it, and we got a favorable contractor for the artist and me. We have a say in the creative process, and the artist and me maintained all the foreign translation rights for the non-English speaking markets in exchange for minimizing the financial risk to the publisher. So when did the seed got planned for this story? Many years back, when we were backpacking in Australia, and I was listening to a local radio station, and there was a journalist. He was going around asking tourists from where are they from. So you would hear all sorts of cities and countries, but nothing really unexpected. Until he approached a mom with a very young boy, and he asked the boy, "From where do you come from?" And the boy says, "I come from my mom's belly." Which was brilliant in its simplicity, because this is from where we are. So I never forgot that phrase. I didn't know it would be used later on as a tool to make a story that will help children like mine to understand who they are and find their place in the world. A difficult question, it really is where are you from? Because what it does is it implies right away you're not local. And I grew up in Greece with Greek parents in a community that spoke the Greek language. If you had asked me the first time I moved abroad from where I am from, I would have said Greece. Probably the same the second time. But then, since then, everything becomes blurry. I still answer Greece, but just for the sake of simplicity. And it's not a question that makes me feel uncomfortable. I am the foreigner, I don't mind being pointed as a foreigner. It's just that it's difficult to answer in a way that won't sound like an essay. So I'm thinking, if I find it confusing, how does a child feel? And children are very vulnerable. They're not like us. They want to be part of the group. They want to blend in, and they want to feel local. So once questions started popping up at home about our countries of origin and where we are from, and our friends and our families and all these languages, then I felt I had to be proactive and come up with a story, prepare the kids, because soon other people will ask them questions that I cannot prevent and might make them feel uncomfortable. So this is how I made the story, and I'm going to read to you now the draft I have in my hands before the last rounds of editing. Where am I from? All the children of the world united, who will solve this great riddle, they decided. They were confused, but quite excited. I know the answer, said Eva. It is Malta that we are from. I swam and I swam with a smart dolphin to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said Chen, as if under attack. It is China that we are from. I flew and I flew on a strong dragon's back to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said Tobias. Of this I am sure. It is Norway that we are from. I ran and I ran with a three-headed roll to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said Sebastian. This has gone way too far. It is Venezuela that we are from. I jumped with a jaguar to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said Osiobe. Do I have to tell you again? It is Nigeria that we are from. I rode and I rode on a fierce lion's mane to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said Alice. I don't want to gloat, but it is California that we are from. I sailed and I sailed. I sailed with a mermaid on a beautiful boat to get here, and here I am. No, that's not right, said John, now feeling blue. It is Australia that we are from. I hoped and I hoped with a king kangaroo to get here, and here I am. Shy Eric, the youngest, had not even said a hello. He now started to giggle, brown eyes all aglow. Come, mummy, come here and come show. Look here, I will show you. Now you will know. Eric looked all around him, feeling quite proud. The kids now fell silent, not even a sound. He pointed at Mummy's belly, pretty and round. Master Eric, the youngest, an answer had found. Miriam, my sister, is there in Mummy's tummy. I was in there too. Now isn't that funny? Adults and young ones, and you too, you know. We were all in Mummy's tummy once not long ago. Where am I from? Mummy's tummy, her belly, that is where we're all from. That's the story. So, how stories can help our children form a strong sense of identity. The following is a dialogue between a child who grows up in a country different than his parents' countries of origin and his classmate. So when the latter asks him, "From where do you come from?" the boy says, "My father is from the States, my mom is from Brazil, and my brother lives in Canada." "And you are?" he says, "Blessed." And how I wish my own children to grow up being so confident and answering in such a strong way when they're asked such questions. Because blessed are our kids indeed. Recent studies now debunk all myths that want these kids to be confused and isolated. On the contrary, they suggest that they demonstrate a stronger appreciation for diversity. They develop an ability to understand multiple sides of controversial issues thanks to their own multicultural heritage. And they also appear to have enhanced creativity when it comes to problem solving, because they can see stuff from completely different angles, as opposed to when you grow up in one culture only. The road that leads to a strong sense of self can be bumpy and full of difficult turns. But the case for these kids is that it can be a little bit more difficult, because it can take a while before they can see themselves as full persons rather than pie charts split up into percentages. It takes proper guidance, not only from the family, but from the community as well, so they can grow up with pride about their heritage. And journalists asked me during our Kickstarter campaign that she said that this kind of stuff are not what the kids discuss at the playground. And I'm really sorry to say she was wrong. Just a few days ago, a friend of ours who is from Japan and the father from Spain, and the kid grows up in Malta, which is predominantly with a Caucasian population, had a very difficult conversation at home. Keep in mind that the boy is only 5. So mom says, "Ian, you have such a beautiful face, shining bright. You grow up so much lately." And Ian says, "Mama, do you like my face? I don't like my face so much." "Mom, you do not like your face? Why?" "Ian, I want a face like Jay's. Jay's his classmate, not mine." And mom says, "Is there something about his face you like so much?" And he says, "No, it's just my face is too Japanese. I don't like it to look so Japanese. I want to look like the others." And the mom starts crying. I mean, who expects to hear this from a 5-year-old? And she told me that she didn't need to ask why. She understands why he feels this way. She's been living in Europe for the last 20 years. But she says, although you can get more ready for it, you never get used to it. Because it has never been violent, the racism she experienced. It's more like subtle gestures of discrimination and rudeness. And she said this is one of the saddest and most frustrating realities some of us immigrants have to face. But she didn't expect it from her kid, and certainly not so early on when he's just 5 years old. She's been noticing that her boy gets more and more of these comments lately. Like one time he came back home, usually associated with Chinese, and he came back home one day and he said, "Mom, they call me Chinese at school." Or she has seen at the playground, kids tease him, "Are you from China? Are you Chinese?" and so on. And what's wrong with Japanese, really? But that's not the point. The point is that the boy has realized that this means negative. And he understands it's not because of his language skills, it's not because of his behavior, but because his face looks like his mom's, which is very sad. So Ian's mom wonders, how can she keep up the dialogue after this conversation? And the fantastic way to keep up the dialogue with her children is through stories. So if we look into the science of things, the brain undergoes a massive amount of changes during the first years. Between conception and age 1, the brain gets 50% of its adult volume. By 3 years, it's 80%. Whereas by 5 years old, the foundation that shapes a child's future health, happiness and growth has been laid. Since they will never learn as fast as they do right now, it's important to start from early on and help them understand where they belong and the communities to accept, the other kids of the community to accept them as being equal and the same. There are so many studies and so much research all pointing the direction that reading to our kids and telling them stories is paramount for their development. Literature and literacy are the direct product of the human need to understand the world by the simple act of telling stories. Humans have always been coming up with all sorts of stories and fables and myths to understand the world around them and the other people. This is how we lived, we evolved, and we survived. So a brilliant way to help our children interiorize a strong sense of identity is by sharing stories, especially traditional stories that span generations. Because when we share the stories, we keep the culture alive, even when living outside of the community. On the other hand, if we share stories from our own ancestors and grandparents, uncles, aunts, this can help the children incorporate a sense of prideness about their very own family. I remember, for instance, I grew up hearing stories about my great-great-grandmother, from whom I inherited this hair color, and she immigrated from Asia Minor. And although I never met her, I feel so close to her, even though she's 5 generations behind. Books are such a powerful tool for our children in order to help them to understand their homes and their communities. And literature provides the very first window beyond the world of the 5 senses. It's a world that can be magically entered by the simple act of illustrations and words setting in motion this internal mechanism called imagination. This is how they can develop into individuals who can think for themselves by using their imagination. With love, affection, encouragement, mental stimulation, nutritious meals and access to good health care, most certainly every child will thrive. These are the pillars that form a solid foundation for them to develop a sense of trust and security that turns into confidence as they grow. Where do you like it the most? And Eric just looked at her as if the answer was obvious, and he said, I like it everywhere. Which was such a relief to me as a mom, because it means he must be heading to a good direction. To conclude, the biggest advantage that I see in multicultural upbringing and global mobility, besides the languages comprehension, is the opportunity this allows for learning to see the world from different perspectives. Being immersed in different cultures encourages the development of character traits such as empathy and adaptability and tolerance. Eric cannot identify 100% with any of the countries he has lived in, and instead of seeing this as a disadvantage, we have noticed he's already using it to his advantage. As a funny example of this, as you remember, it was very warm here in Norway in May, and had some friends over visiting, and went to the beach. Of course, the water would be freezing, and the dad saying, we're gonna go for a swim. And Eric says, I will go as well, I'm a Viking, I don't mind the cold water. So he goes in, he puts his feet in, and steps back and says, oh, actually, I'm a little bit Greek, so I don't have to go in. So that was his way out of a difficult, embarrassing situation for him. A journalist asked me to describe how I see the ideal world, and ideal implies inactivity. It means you made it, you're there, there's nothing more afterwards. And of course, having grown up in Greece, I had to quote one of the Greek philosophers. So Heraclitus had said that everything changes and nothing remains still, and you can never step twice into the same stream. Which means the world around us always changes. There will never be anything perfect or stable. So, since I cannot imagine something that cannot exist, what I can imagine and to what I hope I'm contributing with my work is to give to our children a world which is slightly better than ours, than the one we inherited. Starting by the rejection towards the foreigner, when the sole reason for that rejection is that the said person looks different, acts different, and speaks a little bit different. Can you imagine how better a world would be if we all treat each other the way we wish to be treated? Thank you.
Elisavet, she can take some questions from you if you want to ask about something. So please ask if you want to. We have to take it in English because she's not so clever in Norwegian.
Not yet,
but you will try. You told us we have pre-ordered copies for the Vestfold libraries. So next autumn, I think, then it will be finished. And I'm so impressed because you have a baby outside here and you manage so much in your life. So I'm so impressed that you can manage to do so much.
I have a husband.
You have a husband, but still I'm impressed because it's a big job to make such a campaign as you did.
I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, and maybe you can just tell me about how exciting you were in August when you just had to reach money.
At that time I wasn't so excited. I was more nervous and stressed, and I only had the limited amount of time of work because Nelly doesn't attend the kindergarten. So my working hours were before the kids wake up, when Nelly has a nap, when Roy had the kids or the grandparents. So I just had to accept that I'm going to do the best that I can. I had planned well because I started 10 months ago with planning the campaign because I knew I don't have enough time. And I just tried my best based on the plan, and I followed the plan. And when the plan didn't work, I had to adjust.
But it's a big risk, I think.
It was a risk because this is going to be my first book, so I knew if I don't make it, I break it. I mean, I'm out there, I'm vulnerable.
And it's so excited that it is a graffiti, that is the illustrating project, I think. Can you please tell about Plateau?
He's also a father. He has a 3-year-old boy and he has his own business, so he paints on his spare time because he cannot live without painting. So we decided to do this for our children. None of us got a payment out of this. We just wanted to make the money we need to make this happen and do it on our spare time. And if it goes well, then we have a good contract, so we can make something if it works out.
It's a friend of yours?
Yes.
Yes.
He's married to my childhood friend.
Yes. So he had street arts in Athens?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we got permission to paint the tennis court. So yeah.
Yes.
It's nice to be done on walls.
And the text was okay to write for you because you had the idea.
Well, the text I changed many times. It started with like animal characters, and then I would try to keep the kids, and started writing it all over again many times, until we arrived to a point where the kids would remain excited throughout the whole thing. And then when I felt the text was ready, then the publisher took it and sent to the developmental editor, and then it became even better. Because that's the thing, you can never have something, sometimes editors know more than the writers about writing. We have the ideas and they fix them.
What about the models in the book, the characters?
Most of them, except from one, are kids who are also of multicultural backgrounds. So the parents were really keen into supporting this campaign, and they're going to have their own children painted in the book. So yeah, you have kids who are like half Venezuelan, half Norwegian. Another, the mom is born in Korea and adopted by Danish parents, and she's married to a guy who lived in South Africa, and his parents are Swedish and Finnish, and the kids live in Malta. So everything is really, really mixed.
So is it still possible to order the book?
Yeah.
Yes. So I just have to say that because we have many people from kindergarten here. So
yeah, but we got an order from Espira as well, from Espira Kindergarten.
So good luck with the book.
Thank
and
you
it's
so
so nice to have you here to start our days. And I just have to give you a little gift. So you know, in Norway it's autumn, and it will be nice to have a cup of tea or coffee. So just take this with you. It's a souvenir from Westfold. So it was so nice to have you here, Elisavet. So thank you very, very much, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. Tusen tack.
Ja, nå trenger jeg ikke å ta kanskje på engelsk. Da tar vi en pause til klokka 10 der, så skal vi bare rigge om litt.